sparing your time join us on this Pan-African History call. My name is Awod Ngwenya. I'll be moderating the meeting host here at the Love Black People offices in Zimbabwe, Harare, located at the HICC at the Rainbow Towers Hotel. So those members and ambassadors from Zimbabwe, you're always free to pass through the office and help us with the work which we are doing. And again, I would like to thank all of you for joining and those who joined early or watching the previous episode of our Love Black People Radio. We appreciate you. Yes, without wasting time, I can see our numbers are still low. I'm not so sure, maybe people are very busy. This is on a Saturday and people are preparing travel. Journey message to all of them who are traveling today to different parts of the area. Some are going to the rural areas, visiting because these are holiday. Yes, thank you all for joining. Yes, first of all, I'd like to pray. I'm going to pray using my own indigenous language, which is Shona, which is largely spoken here in Zimbabwe. So let us pray. Namate, tendu mababa tutenda nchikosho kwenja mutazwa nezo. Kwa pambiri pechi kaloshenyi mwari, demu gatungamirira. Ezu notakutanga msangano uno mwari, demu gatatuchizizwa tunutaura zvikwawo zvinofamba mune zvakanaka. Zvose tendu nosamene ndiyi pandasingaperi. Amen. Yes, so today we wanted to continue talking about culture and how it unites us as a Black community. We've been united together through culture. So that's what we'll be discussing about, and also some areas of discussion we'll be discussing along the way. Again, thank you so much, Nicole, for joining all the way from the eastern coast of the United States of America. I appreciate you. Thank you again. So in this moment, I would like to welcome our brother. He's an ambassador, a former moderator, and joined the Love Black People movement way back. His name is Aderi Anton from Ghana to speak just a bit. Yes, Aderi Anton, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, yeah, we can hear you, we can see you clearly, you can go ahead. How is work and everything? Are you doing at the healthcare? I know you are in the healthcare sector and you help a lot of people there in Ghana. How is work and everything?
Yeah, by the grace of God, we are managing, we are doing our best, what we can do to help our people. That's what we are here.
All right, that's great. So we can continue and talk what you got.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say something small about culture in Ghana. Yeah, as we all know, that they say culture is a way of life of people. It's actually true. And also, it's also the ideas, customs, and then social behavior of a particular group of people or society. Now, as we all know, that in Africa, we have several categories of culture. If you go to any of the countries in Africa, the same way, if you come to Ghana, we have different types of culture depending on the people who are celebrating it and then the meaning they attach to it. Some celebrate their culture for their bumper harvest, others celebrate it to thank their gods for taking care of them or being with them throughout their life. And also, some also celebrate their culture to thank their gods based on what their gods did to them from where they were to their present place in Ghana. Now, if you come to Ghana, as I said earlier, we have several types of culture. We have the Abuache Festival, we have the Homowo Festival, we have the Damba Festival. Depending on the region you come, it will tell the culture that they celebrate over there. I just want to tap on just two of them. I will not go deep. I'll just talk about the surface. Talking first about Abuache Festival. It's a festival celebrated by the people of Winneba in the central region. Now, this Abuache Festival is a bushback hunting festival celebrated by the people of Winneba in the central region of Ghana. Now, the main purpose of this Abuache Festival is a rite of an animal sacrifice to the god called Otu to celebrate their safe migration from the Asian Western Sudan Empire to their present home, Winneba, and also to remove evil and predict a good harvest. Now, the fascinating thing about this festival is that when it's time, they go to the bush to catch a live deer. In fact, not a dead one. They have to catch it alive with their bare hands and bring it. And the day before they'll go and do this, the day before they'll ask the gods whether if they go out, they'll get the deer or they will not get it. The response of the gods will determine whether they should go or they shouldn't go. That's just basically something small I want to say about the Abuache festival. Then, for instance, where I'm also coming from, the northern part of Ghana, we also have several cultures here. My place, we celebrate the Kakube festival. Now, this festival is celebrated by people of Nandom in the Upper West region in Ghana. It's celebrated to show gratitude to the gods for their protection and guidance throughout the farming season, and also mark the end of the farming season. So after they have finished their farming and they've gotten their harvest, when it's time for the festival, they bring their food products to the grounds to come and then thank the gods for being with them throughout the farming season, and also to mark the end of the farming season to wait for the following year. If you go to several places, they have something they call the Yam Festival. Now, when they farm the yam, before they eat the yam, they have to celebrate this festival. If the Yam Festival is not celebrated, no one in that region or no one in that tribe is supposed to eat the yam. They bring the yam to the grounds, come and thank the gods, use some to prepare food, give it to the gods. Then after that, they will not give them the go ahead to eat the yam. Basically, there's something small that I have to say for today. And also, I want to thank the moderator for the Ghana group. In fact, the person has been giving us updates about what is going on in the family of the Alaf Black people. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say something small about culture. Derry Anthony, speaking from Ghana. I am because we are. Thank you.
I am because we are. Thank you so much, Brother Derry. We learned a lot on the culture of Ghana, and some of the culture, I learned that they protected people through those signals when they try to do something, and if it doesn't do the way they want it, then they won't proceed anyhow. We appreciate that, and we see the importance of our culture in our African communities, and also we respect the tribes, and we know that they unite us together as Black people as well. So unfortunately, our sister Natalia from Namibia didn't join us today to give us a brief about Namibian culture, but I will quickly go through what she did about the Namibian culture. Yeah, what is important of the culture, in addition to its intrinsic value, culture provides important social and economic benefits with improved learning and health, increased tolerance and opportunities to come together with others. Culture enhances our quality of life and increases overall well-being for both individuals and communities. What is the Namibian culture known for? Yes, extended greetings and handshakes are very important in most Namibian cultures. When food and drink are offered, it is polite to accept. There is a general emphasis on emotional restraints in public, and public displays of affection between spouses or lovers are frowned upon, especially in rural areas. What is a traditional Namibian food, which is also included in the culture? The gastronomy of Namibia is mostly based on meat, indeed, and almost infinite variety of meats in Namibia. They make numerous dishes with ostrich, antelope, zebra, giraffe, oryx, kudu, lamb, and beef. The way of cooking the meat is generally to grill it and then to dress it with rich and tasty sauces. That's there about the traditional Namibian food. They talk about the game meat, antelope, giraffes. So the way they cook it is through grilling the meat. Yeah, so let me go ahead and complete the report, which was compiled by Sister Natalia Faith Kandara from Namibia. I'm just reading it on her behalf. Experience the people and the cultures of Namibia. Namibian culture, the background. Namibia, with just 2.1% per square kilometer and a population of 1.8 million, Namibia's different cultures span an impressively diverse population for what is sparsely populated country. From the Bantu-speaking Ovambo and Herero tribes, the latter of which are admired of their colorful Victorian dresses, to the Damara minorities and nomadic San Bushmen, Namibian boasts cultural and historical flavor in spades. German colonization left its own imprint on this Southern African nation, with German being a widely spoken language today, and German architecture and cuisine featuring prominently. Namibia diverse and at times harsh climate contribution to its colorful history with skirmishes, international and national, reflected in much of its modern history. The people and tribes of Namibia, the San people. The San, direct descendants of the Stone Age inhabitants, have a legacy spanning many centuries across large parts of southern and eastern Africa. Rock art dating back thousands of years, in some cases, stands testament to the very enduring power. Not only is the presence of immense historical importance to Namibia's ancient cultural heritage, but to its present heritage too. Namibia question population and largely concentrated around the northern the Kalahari. The Nama, these are the tribes in Namibia which I'm on reading about at the moment. The Nama, despite being pastoralists, the Nama tribes fascinating history by no means sees them being put out to pasture. Loaded as first-on fighters in pre-colonial times, they routinely fought wars with the neighboring Iroro over fertile grazing grounds dotted across parts of the central Namibia. Some of these skirmishes dragged on for a large part of the 1800s. With this phase straight in mind, it's unsurprising that the Nama rose not once, but twice in armed rebellion against German colonial rule. A dark stain on the country's historic marks the Nama Second Uprising, which resulted in a mass genocide executed by German forces and a devastating loss of land for pastoralists in the early 20th century. As we all see, we also I've also learned that the Namibian culture was being like disturbed, or cultural erosion was being experienced in Namibia due to the German influence through the colonial rule, which affected Namibia, and also the caused tension among these tribes which lived peacefully. Some of them, they did animal farming, some of them, they did agriculture. So, which is so disturbing about how the Western countries disturbed the agriculture, the tribe sectors in the African regions. Then I'm going to the next tribe, which is called the Damara. We are speaking about the tribes and culture of Namibia and how people in Namibia live, the way of life they live in terms of culture, and how they are united in the spirit of Ubuntu. The Damara and the Nama people share the same language, but little else, their origins are clouded in mystery. Although some believe that the Damara are descended from Southern Western Africa, hunter-gatherers, nonetheless, the modern history was seen them not only as pastoralistic, but as agriculturalists and skilled coppersmiths too. The first prime minister of Namibia and his immediate successor were both Damara, yes. Then the Ovambo. Centuries ago, several Ovambo kingdoms spanned the floodplain north of Etosha, which were a majority of Ovambo people still live today. The Ovambo people established a number of kingdoms on the floodplains north of Etosha, where the floodplains north of the country are said to have migrated from the shores of the Upper Zambezi in the 13th century. The Ovambo were at the forefront of the struggle of independence from South Africa, and Namibia's founding president was born and raised in the Ovambo village. So in this part, we have seen where the ruling, like the chieftainships came from for the Namibia, their tribes, which tribe ruled Namibia, and where the first prime minister or president came from. They came from the Damara, as I read. Then I'm going to the Roro, which is the last tribe. Then after that, I'll read a bit about German influence, on how it influenced the cultural in Namibia, as we don't want to show these Western colonizers, because we do not want to deal about them, and we also need to enlighten us and destroy the white supremacist ideology. We say no to white supremacist ideology in all our teams as our Love Black People movement. Yes, German, the Hiroro, which is the last tribe in Namibia, as we read, Namibia is a small country. The largest part is covered by desert, which is also which they use it as a tourist attraction as well. Yeah, so the last part I'm going to read about is the Herero. The Herero are arguably the most culturally recognizable in Namibia, with its women known for their bright and colorful angle-length dresses, high necklaces, tight bodices, and long puff sleeves, adapted from the European fashion in the Victorian period. The style of the dress is now regarded as the cultural tradition and worn with a cloth headdress pointed on either side, meant to symbolize cat horns. It was going to be great and insightful if we saw the pictures of the dressing and the culture in the Namibia. But some of the dressing, I hope it's the same, and I know it's the same with that South African dressing cultures, as they've been explained in here. Like the Maasai in East Africa, the Herero are historical nomadic gatherers with cattle farming on an important part of their culture. The Herero also rose in rebellion against the colonialistic in 1904. In modern times, Herero activities like Chief Hosea Kutako, after whom the international airport in Windhoek is named, figured prominently in the quest for Namibian independence. So we have seen about how the importance of Chief Hosea Kutako and how the Namibian airport in the Windhoek was named after him. And then the last part, which I'm going to read about, which was compiled by your sister Natalia Faye, is about how the German influence in the Namibian culture sector. So we just read a bit about it and see how the culture in Namibia was destroyed by these influences. Yes, the visitors to Namibia are often surprised by the strong German influence. Historical architecture in Luderitz and Squampum is reminiscent of a German town in the 1800s, while the older section of many towns across the country feature buildings with domes, towers, turrets, oriel windows, embellished gables, ornate bay windows. In the desert and not far from Luderitz is a ghost town called Komansko, whose purpose was to mine diamonds after German Southwest Africa struck it rich in 1908. Today, the town is engulfed in dunes, making for an eerie, albeit fascinating day trip. Namibia capital Windhoek is home to numerous German restaurants with a beer named after the town, built in strict compliance with Reichstag codes, the German Period Law of 1516. So seeing how German influenced the Namibian culture and how they built restaurants in the capital city of Namibia, which is Windhoek, whereby they put their own cuisine, removing those like cuisine which we read about Namibia, whereby their staple food or their most prepared meals is the game meat, whereby it's being grilled. So the German put their own, and they built their restaurants in the city of Windhoek in Namibia, which influenced to a greater extent about the Namibian culture as far as food is concerned. So hopefully we'll have more speakers from different countries to learn more about their cultures as well, and explore more about how the culture unites us like people. I've seen that culture culture it also is like it unites us and also bring us together regardless of the duties which we do. Some areas they don't do farming, but they're able to do cattle rearing. So as I read, the people manage to be in unity, and there's a barter trade which went on there, which was also good. So let me just go through the comment section. I see Sanko Mambaka. This lecture means a lot to the progress, but the issue is I continue to ponder it is in that of the bringing of the divide between Africa on the continent and those living in the diasporas. Yes, that's why our movement is there. We also do have African diaspora who are also outside Africa. They know about these cultures, and also they read, which is also good to read books. We always share books in our groups, in our WhatsApp groups, the PDF groups. We need also people to read them, and always to know how things went by in Africa. And how a book which was a good book to read and to know where we are and the things we are. As our co-founder, Mr. Mukondra, always say, this shape or this like the map of the Africa, it was jeopardized. It's not how the Africa is in actual ground. The map itself the way you look at it, it's a small continent, background. The American, South and North America, they won't fear Africa. Africa is a big continent. Yeah. So that's it. So that's what our co-founder always told about Mr. Mapondera. So we need to explore much on these lessons about the culture and how it unites us. Without wasting time, we're jumping over to Nana Akua for the healthcare lecture. To receive a shout out from Nana Akua, kindly turn on your camera so that she will see the happy African face, and as we go through the lecture, she will be wanting to see people participating and also looking and reading the PDF which she will be sharing. Thank you, everyone. I can see our numbers are still low, and we had 21 people, but now we have 14. I'm not so sure what is the problem nowadays with these numbers. All right, welcome Nana Kwak with Pan-African History.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thanks for those of us that are here. Thank you for joining us. I see Derry, and I don't know how to pronounce. Ken. Yeah, thumbs up. I probably messing your day, but hey, Yvonne. Hey, Chris. Hello, everyone. Happy to see you all. I said Derry already. I hope you heard me. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. These are really low numbers, right? I don't know what's happening, but it's okay. We are here. So I was actually, Yvonne, I was typing some stuff for the book. So I did not try to pull up what I am talking about today. So let me try to do that. So, you know, we talked last week about herbs and natural healing substances. And so today we're talking about homeopathics and essential oils and things of that nature. And I think that would be week 4. So let me try to pull up. And I'll see if, because usually I have to pull it up first, then I try to share the screen, and hopefully it is there. Oh yeah, everything else except that is there. So let me share and then open. Oh no, I think I got it.
Yes.
Actually, and actually, homeopathy in the kitchen. Let's see that. Let's see if we can look at that. Okay, well, yeah, I like this. So, and this is not as easy to see, but let me just make it a little larger. So the main thing about homeopathy is that homeopathy are medicines derived from different natural substances. It could be, in this case, this handout, you see it says food substances, but it could be plant-based or herb-based. It could be mineral-based, or it could even be insect or animal-based, but natural occurring substances, not something that's chemical or man-made. And these substances are used and made into medicine and given in what we call very minute doses. Small doses multiple times a day until symptoms subside. We usually take homeopathy away from food, so on what we call a clean mouth, meaning you've not just eaten or brushed your teeth or had any kind of gum, mint, lozenge, or anything in your mouth. We also know that certain flavors, certain aromas will make the homeopathics ineffective. So like strong aromas like mint are usually not used when you are trying to use homeopathic remedies. And then we know that we take it what we call sublingually. We take it under our tongues, where it is absorbed into the body through the mucous membranes, the lining in our mouths, as opposed to swallowing it and it going through our digestive system, right? So we know that there are some considerations, some preparations to make when doing homeopathic remedies, right? But well worth it, because some people just take to homeopathy better than herbs and other medications. So it's something to just take note of and to be aware of. So I wanted to kind of use a different handout than what we usually use, just to give you a better idea and maybe share some different remedies, because believe me, there are hundreds and hundreds of homeopathic remedies, maybe even more, maybe thousands. So this handout I thought was interesting because this one talks about more so the plant-based ones, the ones that are derived from food items. So we know that garlic, the homeopathic remedy name is Allium sativa, right? And we know that it's good for hypertension and tuberculosis, among other things. Ginger is Zingiber officinalis, which is good for renal failure, right? Or liver, kidney failure, and hemorrhoids. Onions is Allium cepa. This is good for nasal polyps, any kind of, and I don't even know what coryza is, but any kind of cold or flu symptoms where there's teary eyes, runny nose, things like that. Allium cepa is one of the remedies we've talked about previously. It's one of the top 10 used homeopathic remedies. And it goes on and on. I'll point out some that are a little more common. But as you see, there is a homeopathic version from various food items. Ashwagandha at the bottom, I think that's an interesting one to mention. This one is often used, well, as you see here, for deficient breast milk, but it's also used for depression and sadness. The potato one, the Solenium tuberosum, probably pronouncing that wrong. It's good for meningitis. And then, oh, another one that is common is the coffee one, the Coffea cruda. This is an analgesic and it's good for insomnia. So this is good sort of for helping with folk who are having problems resting and getting good sleep and being kind of conscious and aware and awake. So these are some of the more common ones. As you see, though, there are many that are listed and surprisingly coming from different food, and even the table salt one, the natrum one. This one is a common homeopathic remedy. This is good for headaches. But let me, now there was another homeopathic, maybe I like this one better. Let's see what this means. Oh no. Just ignore all my other stuff you see listed there. So then this one is one I found that talked about homeopathic remedies for headaches. So we there are remedies here for congestive headaches, and overheadaches, or probably what we would call tension, and for headaches. Pain is a issue that most of us deal with. Pain, we're often having to deal with. Even the remedies, even though they may all deal with headaches, we know that there are specific ones that might be geared towards specific headaches. I think the first aid one, the homeopathic first aid, might be another good one to point out as we're talking about homeopathics. We know that if we are putting together sort of a first aid kit, right, we know that we might want to include some of these homeopathic remedies. And I know the names are strange. They use sort of the scientific names for these homeopathic remedies, but usually what they'll do in stores when you go to buy them, there's usually an abbreviation. So it might just say Acon for this aconite, right? Or it might just say Bell for belladonna, or, you know, they'll shorten the arsenicum album. So you'll see sort of an abbreviation that's used. But we know that if we want to be prepared, if someone is out someplace and there's some kind of incident and there's shock or fright, right? It could be from inflammation. It could be from the effects of cold, dry weather. It could be, you know, you ran into an animal in the woods and now you're frightened. Aconite is a good remedy for that. It's good for shock, fear, fright, the first stage of inflammation, and for ailments of cold and dry weather. We know that belladonna you want to have on hand, right, if there's inflammation, swelling, or pain in any part of the body. Belladonna is also used for fevers in some cases. Arsenicum album is great for itchy skin or allergic reactions to things. So if the allergy is affecting your skin or your digestive system or your respiratory tract, arsenicum album is good for that. Arsenicum is also good if you are having diarrhea or you've had some type of food poisoning and you're trying to detox the body. This is something you would have on hand to try to absorb the toxins as well. Arnica, we know we would have on hand if there are certain, it will help stop bleeding. It absorbs clots. If there's bleeding, it allows the body to clot so that it will stop the bleeding. So any injuries with bruising, arnica is really Hepar sulfuris. This remedy is a good natural antibiotic. So this is good for preventing infection. If there's pus or inflammation or signs of infection from a cut or any other kind of puncture or wound, this is a good remedy for that. Nux vomica is good for viral infections, food or alcohol, types of poisoning, I'll say, quote unquote, or when you've consumed those things in excess and now you're having certain side effects. Nux vomica will help alleviate those symptoms. And purging may be involved if it's needed to where the body needs to purge from overdoing it with certain foods or alcohols or substances. Lycopodium is a good remedy for indigestion or stomach issues, issues with the bowels or digestive organs. Ignatia, this is a good remedy if someone is really overly worried or upset, if they're suffering from grief, any kind of emotional shock or upset. So same thing, if in fact, there's been some kind of issue, you got lost in the woods, or some kind of tragic accident or something of that in a first aid situation, this would be to help calm down. Then chamomilla, this is good. You can use it as pain relief for inflamed. And so you enter to again help. So or if you're stressed, things of that nature, this is a really good option for this. So I think we have covered the homeopathic. So let's talk a little bit about essential oils. In terms of essential oils, what I want to say, and so this one is not that great to see. Let me see if I can enlarge it. I don't know how well we can see this, but let's talk about essential oils. Essential oils are, it's the process of emitting the oil factor from a flowering plant, where we may use it in any number of ways, usually topically or externally. There is a such thing as therapeutic or food grade essential oils, where we can, in fact, take them internally for conditions, but usually we are using essential oils through our diffusers for aromatherapy. We're using them in, say, massage or body work. We're using them in creams or ointments or oils. We are using them in our baths, misters or sprays that we're using to cleanse the air. Definitely during the pandemic, one thing that I often did was I utilized the essential oils to clean the air and to clean surfaces, my hands, areas, my car, my house, where I was using alcohol as the base, and then a combination of essential oils, because they also have different cleansing, astringent properties, antibiotic properties, other antiseptic properties, to where they are good cleaning agents as well. So I don't think this handout is not the best. So let me see what else. Let's see what this one looks like. Okay, so this is a little better, or a little easier to see, I think. We know that all oils, because they come from plants, will have different healing properties, right? And will have different uses that we can implement for the use of those properties. So let's just go through a couple of those that are here in this handout. And we know that there are many others, right? There are many essential oils that we have on hand to use for healing, and aphrodisiac properties. So usually people will use neroli for skin aging, dullness, scars, stretch marks. It's also used for lack of sexual desire. It's used for hormonal imbalances in women. It's used for frigidity or irritability, depression, stress, anxiety, all of those types of things, lack of concentration. And it's also been used for hypertension and other health conditions specifically. I know specifically about the hypertension, and probably because it helps to manage sort of stress and anxiety, which can sometimes elevate blood pressure. Let's get down to orange. We know that orange is pretty common, right? But it has anti-inflammatory, antidepressant, antispasmodic, antiseptic, aphrodisiac, diuretic, and sedative properties. So again, this is another one that is used for some skin conditions, assisting with aging, and open pores, acne, complexion, that nature. But again, also one of the stress, lack of focus, lethargy, grief, insomnia, sleep disorder, as well as unlike the first two we just talked about that have a pretty, it's a very strong smell, really used for inhalation or diffusion, but more so in massages, baths, for congested lungs, sinusitis, bronchitis, muscle pain and spasms, joint stiffness, athlete's foot, ringworm, cold sores, herpes, shingles, chickenpox, lice, intestinal parasites, heavy hitting stuff, right? So this is not going to be your best smelling. This is not going to be your, oh, I just love oregano. Let me put some, on my arms or my neck for the scent. But this is a heavy hitter. It has anti-parasitic, antibacterial properties. It's going to really help get rid of some serious conditions. Some people use it for the side effects of chemotherapy, earaches, digestive issues, muscle and bone injuries, arthritis, things of that nature. Parsley, we know what parsley is. We use parsley for our seasoning. We use it for cooking. We don't often use it in the essential oil form. However, it can be. This would be another example of where we wouldn't necessarily use it for the aroma, but more so for the healing properties of it. It has anti-rheumatic, anti-arthritic, antiseptic, astringent, circulatory, stimulant, detoxifier, digestive, and diuretic, along with stimulant properties, right? So we know that for parsley, we would use it for things like digestive problems, circulatory issues, swelling of the extremities, the hands, the feet, for edema, water retention, arthritis, rheumatism, kidney problems, toxic buildup in the body, and even irregular menstruation, PMS, and other menstrual problems, right? But we know that parsley is definitely good for the kidneys, and helping to love for the herb woody of it. Has a lot of healing properties. Well, it's anti-inflammatory, it's antidepressant, aphrodisiac properties, astringent, diuretic properties as well. What's good for premature skin, loss of thermal issues like dryness, skin infection, decongestant, anti-inflammatory, anti-infectious, antifungal, and digestive properties. So peppermint is used for a number of conditions, probably more than is even listed here. But for muscle and joint pain, neuralgia, itching, nasal, chest congestion, cough, nausea, stomach upset, oral health. Most toothpaste, as we know, have peppermint or maybe spearmint or maybe wintergreen, but most have peppermint in it. So we know it's good for bad breath. We use it for fever, acne, insect bites, headaches, motion sickness, sadness, fear, stress, lethargy, and mental fog, right? So a lot of uses for peppermint. Some people will simply use it just for the aroma of it. I do. I think it's really uplifting and opens up my sinuses and my nasal passage really well. Some people will put peppermint, if it's a food grade oil, they'll put it into their water along with peppermint leaves, the actual peppermint leaves, but the oils can be used. So we know that it has a lot of uses. One of my all-time favorite essential oils. But even with this, we know that there are lavender, jasmine, chamomile, lemon, lime, tannin, bergamot. All of these are in the citrus family. We know that there are other like melissa and vetiver. So there are many, many other essential for the better. Clove, cinnamon, these are also some of my favorites. Clove oil is often used for people who have tooth and gum issue. It's really good, a numbing or analgesic property for people who are having like a really bad toothache. They'll put the clove oil directly on the tooth. We know that cinnamon is good for helping to regulate blood sugar. It's also really uplifting and used in like spiritual healing things. So there are many, many others, but I've just highlighted a few here. So let me stop the share for just a second. While I pull back up, back to the pamphlet, because I think also under this section is where we talked about, oh yeah, there it is where we talked about our, let me share it again. So I think you can see this same homeopathic slide. Is that right? Somebody? Anybody? Everybody?
Yes.
The rest of that is screen. Okay, that's a song. That's a rap song, a very old rap song. So yeah, the last thing then we'll talk about in this packet is superfoods. So again, the point here with this topic for today was substances and foods that are used for healing. So, you know, last week we talked about herbs and we talked about the different categories of herbs. So yes, so now we've done essential oils, we've done homeopathics. So now let's talk a little bit about foods, extraordinary foods, foods that we consider super, right? These are foods that are so nutrient dense, right? So full of nutrition, that they are classified and categorized as superfoods. So these are foods that basically, you know, especially if you're on a limited budget, if you have limited accessibility to different types of foods, or if you just need to make sure you're getting the best foods possible and making the best decision as to what foods to include, starting with any number of these foods that are on the top superfoods list is always going to be a good option for you, because these are what they kind of call a no-brainer. Not every food here on the list may be in your diet, though. There are, I think, a dairy one. If you don't do dairy, of course, you would avoid that one. Or there may be foods that you just have a sensitivity to, or just don't like. But what I would say is to use or consider these foods as something you commonly and normally rotate in and out of your diet. So the first one here is almonds. So we know that almonds are full of nutrition. They have vitamin E, They have calcium, and it's a good source of protein that you're getting from the almonds. We know that broccoli rabi, this is the green leafy vegetable of the broccoli plant, right? And we know that this is packed with potassium, iron, calcium, dietary fiber, as well as vitamins A, C, and K, right? So this is particularly good for aging, slowing aging, for developing stronger bones, and decreased risk of hypertension. Flax seeds is another one. We know that flax seeds is an essential fatty acid. It contains high levels of omega-3, right? The good fats or the good oils that's in the body. They're known to fight depression. They help manage healthy cholesterol levels, and they're high in vitamins B6, the minerals copper, phosphorus, folate, magnesium, a good source of dietary fiber, and of course, the mineral manganese. Blueberries is next on the list. And blueberries, we know, have a lot of benefits. They've researched blueberries a lot, and they're vitamin C, fiber. These will really help to boost the immune system and fight off infection and that sort of thing. Or listed here, chronic diseases. So they are useful for fighting off chronic diseases. Cinnamon, mentioned the cinnamon oil a minute ago, but the actual cinnamon we know is excellent for its health benefits of suppressing and fighting urinary tract infections, for soothing the stomach, improving brain function, lowering our LDL or bad cholesterol, for promoting healthy glucose metabolism, for lessening inflammation or decreasing inflammation. It's good for cancer protection, and Alzheimer's protection, stroke prevention, and it fights against birth defects. So super, super food. Love, love, love cinnamon. Avocado